Namaste. So we read a prayer today. It's a very small prayer, very beautiful as always. I mean, all prayers are beautiful. And the thing that there is one quality which the mother emphasizes, it is patience. It is there in the ancient scriptures. Any number of times, I have myself quoted this phrase from the Kathopanishad. Who finds the self? So the phrase runs like this: Tamatmastham yenu pashyanti dhira. Stesham sukham shashwati netaresham. Who sees the self? Who is patient? Dhira. Perseverance. Those who are restless cannot find anything. Restless people will, let's say, try something, join a group, or they are attracted. Then after some time, oh, not this. So they will jump to some other guru, somebody else, because their mind is restless. You'll often see. Now, when there is an intellectual preparation, it's okay. People are running here, there, everything. But once you take to a path, you must be patient and go through it right up to the end. This is what repeatedly Sri Aurobindo advises, and great yogis have fallen because of this. So when Anil Baran, Anil Baran, intellectually he is supposed to be one of those who understood Sri Aurobindo very well. Sri Aurobindo's own, and wherever the rooms which Sri Aurobindo would leave, Anil Baran would get a place there. Like for example, when you enter the ashram, you have that room on top, first floor. Where right now, I think Subhasda is staying. Who used to stay there? Anil Baran. Sri Aurobindo used to stay there earlier. Then Anil Baran came as Sri Aurobindo moved in the other block. So he has written wonderful things on the Gita. One of his, the Gita is very good because he has taken up slokas and those passages not only from essays on the Gita, but also from letters on yoga, like when he uses the word sacrifice. So it's not just the literal sacrifice in essays on the Gita, but also other places. So wonderful work he has done. And Sri Aurobindo had given him only one advice. Don't move from your asana. Asana is not sitting in a posture. Asana is steadfast in your basic resolve that you have taken. Everything will come in life. But the day you lose your will and faith in the goal, that day it is finished. As long as there is will and faith, doesn't matter. You may have mountain of difficulties you will pass through because the will and faith will keep on serving as a corrective. So that is the asana. And there, because transformation is a huge work, even finding the divine, people spend lives. If you read through Narada's life, Narada now, demigod. If you read through his life, what he was in his previous life and how he grew up and all that, still he is told that this life you cannot find God. And Mother speaks of that, Sri Aurobindo speaks of that sometimes one life is only a preparation. And the ancients knew it. So therefore they worked slowly, patiently, steadfastly on the route. But the modern mind has become very restless because of the McDonald mentality. How many years? I want transformation, yoga. Now, if the change is not happening, I am doomed. It doesn't work like that. It's a long, long process. So to remember to remain patient. And then what we should do while we are patient, should we just put our hands and wait? Or we should do something? That's what the mother reveals us in this prayer. This idea of waiting patiently for the grace is there in one of, that famous poem, I think it's Milton's poem, They too serve who stand and wait. When you wait, this is also a service to the divine. Why? Because if you are in a hurry, you create more complications. Many people who are who start the yoga with this, I'm going to realize transformation, I'm progressing very fast. Then the vital forces create an illusion of progress. Illusion of knowledge, illusion of work, illusion of everything, transformation. And then there is a crash landing. They take you through that route, aggrandizing and then abyss. So one has to, each part, millions of years of habit in the cells. So this is a prayer dated July 21st, 1913. In the Rig Veda, the image is the swan which has one foot steadily on ground while the other is towards the sky. This is how one should be, steadily on the ground as well as moving. And Sri Aurobindo used a very unique word, spiritual realism. Don't lose sight of this reality. At the same time, don't lose sight of that reality towards which you are going. And this is beautifully conveyed in this lovely prayer. July 21, 1913. Yet, what patience is needed? How imperceptible the stages of progress. This is the Divine Mother. It's her own diary. She's not telling somebody else. Sri Aurobindo says, even for the strong, it takes long. Even for the strongest, there are many difficulties they have to take on the way. It's a process, you just can't help it. And in Sri Aurobindo's yoga, the difficulty is double. Because you not only take your difficulties, but as your consciousness enlarges, you take into yourself the difficulties as a representative of the cosmic load. So the process is long. So she says many times you won't even feel whether you are improving or not improving. The famous exchange of words between Sri Aurobindo and Alexandra David Neal. So she was talking about silent mind and all. Sri Aurobindo humorously remarked, sometimes one doesn't know whether one is becoming silently stupid or stupidly silent. Because it's like that. It's a long process. So she is reminding us, yet what patience is needed. How imperceptible the stages of progress. That's why many experiences in life come just to teach us patience. And one of the best ways of learning patience is through human beings. Of course, through children. But even through human beings, you learn patience. You just have no choice. The moment you live in a collective life, you have to learn patience. Oh, how I call thee from the very depths of my heart. So now she is showing us the way. What you have to do? Keep calling her from the depths of the heart. And then she is describing so beautifully, true light. Not to be satisfied by false lights, artificial glimmers. That's why in Indian thought there is a distinction between Panditya and Jnana. Panditya is I may read scriptures and I can give lectures. I remember everything from Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and if I remember Sanskrit, then even more. Most Sanskrit, Rig Veda I can chant like that. But I may know nothing about God. That's how Sri Aurobindo says. That you may be able to form the best intellectual conceptions, and yet you may know nothing about the eternal. Does it mean one should not read? No, one should read, but one should know the difference. True light is true light. This is only a borrowed light. This is only an intellectual representation of something which is far exceeds it. So she uses the word true light. Sublime love. We may all say that we have bhakti for the mother, for the divine, but what kind of bhakti? We can't even love. Something like a creation. Bhakti for the divine is a huge word. Only the divine can teach us how to love. So she uses the word sublime love. Divine Master, who are the source of a light and of a living. So now she's addressing the Master as the source. You are the source. Everything has come from there. Now I want the original thing. So she is referring to the source. Our guide and our protector. The soul of our soul. Literally, if you have to translate this word in Hindi, it's very interesting. You have Atma and you have Paramatma. The soul with a capital S of our soul. He is the one who is our refuge, our protector, our blessing, our grace, everything, our life. In Kena Upanishad, so beautifully it describes that which the mind cannot know, but that by which the mind can be known. That which the eyes cannot see, but that which motivates the eyes to see. That which you cannot hear, but that which makes your hearing possible. That supreme consciousness. So Kena Upanishad says, strive for that. So basically here she is saying, these are the things we should strive for. True light, sublime love, divine master, the soul of our soul, and the life of our life. The reason of our being, the supreme knowledge, the immutable power. So this is what she has repeatedly, that when we take to yoga, why are we taking? Is the divine the raison d'etre of our existence? Is the divine the reason of our existence? Have we reached that point where if somebody says, I am going to give you a choice today, or better still tonight, shake up from sleep and ask, I am going to give you all these worlds and all the riches and all the powers and everything. Okay? Good? No, wait. Or you have the divine. What choice you will make? That is the aphorism of Sri Aurobindo, that if you have the entire, you see, it's so cryptic, no? Narayani Sena, which is also Lord Krishna's Sena. Narayani Sena was a army which nobody could defeat. The entire Kuru clan could not have defeated the entire army of Shri Krishna. But he gave it to Kauravas. But without Krishna, the Narayani Sena, without Narayan, has no meaning. So you have a choice. The entire army or Krishna alone and unarmed. That's how Sri Aurobindo puts it. If you have that choice, choose Krishna alone and unarmed. That is the wise choice. Generally, these choices are not given, but sometimes these choices can come where life faces that dilemma. So choose the divine. That is what we should never forget, because without him, everything else will collapse. The reason of our being, the supreme knowledge, the immutable peace. And how do they come? That comes toward the end in another prayer of Mother. I'll just quickly read it, because that's where the secret is given. This is a prayer dated October 28, 1928. I'll just read the prayer. There is a power which no government can command, a happiness which no earthly success can give, a light which no wisdom can possess, a knowledge which no philosophy, no science can acquire, a beatitude of which no satisfaction of desire can give the enjoyment, a thirst for love which no human relation can quench, a peace which can be found nowhere, not even in death. There is something like that. Where to find it? It is the power, the happiness, the light, the knowledge, the beatitude, the love and the peace which come to us from the divine grace. So patiently we should implore the divine grace and wait for it to work. It will not work like human ways. Sri Aurobindo reminds us repeatedly in Synthesis that the divine working is not what the human mind may desire. That it should work in a standard format, no. It has its own way of working. And it can be very perplexing and bewildering to the mind if the mind does not know how to surrender at each step and remain patient. So this is the prayer for patience. July 21st, 1913. Yet what patience is needed, how imperceptible the stages of progress. Oh, how I call thee from the very depths of my heart. True light, sublime love, divine master who are the source of a light and of a living. Our guide and our protector, the soul of a soul and the life of a life, the reason of a being, the supreme knowledge, the immutable peace. Namaste.